You're being watched. I mean, right now. But not by cameras or satellites. It's an intelligence that's been hiding in plain sight for all of human history. In this explainer, we're going to dig into some incredible new research that makes a pretty wild case. The birds outside your window, they're not just there. They're taking notes.
Look, I know this sounds like something out of a spy movie, but stick with me. The source material we're looking at today suggests that the most sophisticated surveillance network on Earth might not be human-run at all. It might be operated by the crow family. I mean, think about it. They live everywhere we do, and as we're about to see, they are paying very close attention.
So to even begin to understand this, we have to completely throw out what we think we know about the term bird brain. For decades, right, that phrase meant stupid. But what modern science is showing us is that it's actually one of the most powerful and efficient designs in all of nature.
For about a century, we kind of assumed that to be really smart, you needed a brain like ours, with that wrinkly outer layer, the neocortex. Birds don't have one, so, they were written off as simple animals. Well, it turns out evolution is a pretty clever engineer. Birds developed a totally different structure called the pallium, and it's organized in a way that is just incredibly powerful. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Look at that number. A crow's brain has twice as many neurons packed into the same amount of space as a primate brain. So it's not about the size, it's about the processing power. It's not a walnut. It's more like a supercomputer that's been compressed down onto a USB drive.
So, okay, they've got the hardware. It's top-notch. But what's the software like? What can they actually do with those brains? Well, let's look at their problem-solving skills, which honestly feel less like animal instinct and more like straight-up engineering.
It all starts with a story that's, 2,600 years old. You know the one, Aesop's fable about the thirsty crow who drops pebbles into a pitcher to raise the water level? We all thought it was just a cute story about being clever. Turns out, in 2009, scientists proved it wasn't a fable at all. It was basically a field report. Crows 100% understand water displacement.
And their understanding goes way beyond just trial and error. In lab tests, they don't just randomly drop stuff in. They'll consistently pick heavy, sinking objects over light, floating ones. They completely ignore useless materials like sand. They'll even choose the wider of two tubes because they seem to get that it'll raise the water level faster. They're not guessing. They actually understand the physics.
So scientists thought, all right, how far can we really push this? Can they reason about something they can't even see? So they designed this puzzle, a true test of abstract thinking that they were pretty sure was impossible.
Okay, check this out. It's called the U-bend test. A crow sees a treat floating in a narrow tube. They're given pebbles, but the pebbles are too big to fit in that tube. So what's the trick? Well, that tube is secretly connected by a pipe, a U-bend, to a second, wider tube. To get the treat, the crow has to figure out this hidden connection exists and drop pebbles into the other tube. And they do it. They literally form a mental map of a machine they can't see. That is just a staggering cognitive leap.
Okay, so using a tool is one thing, but building a tool, that's a whole other level. And get this, New Caledonian crows are one of the only non-human species on the entire planet known to actually manufacture compound tools. So what we're talking about here isn't just finding a stick that works. No. This is like being given several small useless pieces and figuring out you can stick one into the other to create a single, longer tool that works. In the lab, a crow named Mango even built a 4-part tool to get a treat. That's kind of like a monkey figuring out how to use a hammer and nails without any instructions. It's incredible.
And their intelligence isn't just about physics and tools. They show off these abstract cognitive abilities. We're talking math, we're talking future planning, things that for a long time we thought were uniquely human.
Seriously, researchers basically gave crows a math test. They'd show them a number of dots on a screen, make them disappear, and then the crow had to pick the matching number from a new screen. They nailed it, with about 75% accuracy. But here's the amazing part. Brain scans showed specific neurons firing for the number 2, 3, and 4. It's a neural signature for counting that looks shockingly similar to our own.
And they also have a skill that a lot of human children, and let's be honest, some adults, really struggle with: self-control. So researchers basically ran the famous Stanford marshmallow experiment, but for crows. They offered them a choice. You can have this okay food right now, or, if you wait, you can have your absolute favorite food.
And the results were crystal clear. While pigeons and chickens just went for the instant gratification, the crows consistently chose to wait for the better reward. This shows they can plan for the future and delay gratification, which is a really high-level cognitive skill.
So, look, this individual intelligence is mind-blowing. But where this story takes a turn and gets genuinely unsettling is how they share that information. They don't just learn. They teach, they warn, and they remember.
This experiment is just chilling. Researchers wearing a very specific caveman mask captured and tagged 7 crows. Obviously, those 7 crows remembered the face and attacked the mask whenever they saw it. But here's the thing. Soon, other crows who were never captured started joining in. 5 years later, long after the original 7 were probably gone, a completely new generation of crows still dive-bomb that mask on sight. They don't just recognize a face, they describe it to others. They create a wanted poster that gets passed down through generations.
And this goes way beyond simple warnings. This is culture. When a crow dies, others gather around. It's not just a funeral, it's a crime scene investigation. They're trying to figure out what happened, a cat, a car, a specific person, so they can log the threat. They have social rules, and they enforce them, punishing crows who steal food. And this information travels. A threat identified in one place can spread from flock to flock for hundreds of miles, like an analog internet.
So all of this begs a massive question. If they're sharing this much detailed information about us, our faces, our habits, our intentions, how in the world are they communicating?
Well, to find out, researchers went high-tech. They recorded thousands of hours of crow sounds, all their caws and clicks, and fed all that raw data into a sophisticated AI. They gave it a simple goal: just sort the sounds. Put the "I found food" calls in one pile, and the "there's a predator" calls in another. Simple enough, right?
But the AI didn't just find a few simple calls. The data started showing spikes in complexity that the human researchers just couldn't understand at first. It was finding patterns that were way too complex to be simple bird calls.
The machine was finding syntax, the rules that build a sentence. It found grammar, and then it found something that shocked everyone. It isolated specific sequences of sounds that were only ever used for specific people. It found proper nouns. That person who walks their dog past your house every morning, they don't just register as human with dog. They have a name. You have a name.
And this is the most chilling discovery of all. Towards the end of the study, the very language the AI was finally starting to translate, it just changed. Almost overnight, a new rhythmic pulse appeared, spreading through the flock, and the AI's translation ability just plummeted. The complex patterns turned into what the machine could only register as noise.
Which leaves us with a final, really provocative thought. Did they realize they were being observed? Did they see the equipment, notice the strange lack of reaction from the humans, and figure out they were being studied? And did they then change their code? What does it mean to live alongside a parallel intelligence that isn't just watching us, but might now be actively hiding its secrets from us?